Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Platform Privacy and Security Academy session. The topic that we're going to cover today is introduction to our ServiceNow Zero Trust Access. My name is Furqas Salim. I'm a senior outbound PM in Platform Privacy and Security team. I've been with ServiceNow for almost 4 years. With me today, Randir C. Randir, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks everyone for joining in. We are super excited for this session. And I know it's early morning hours, so really appreciate it. My name is Randhir. I am a product manager in the platform security business unit. I have been with ServiceNow for more than 5 years. Prior to ServiceNow, I have worked with Oracle and Verizon. In ServiceNow, my focus areas are anything and everything to do with integration and authentication. That covers multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, OAuth, certificate-based authentication, adaptive authentication, and zero trust access. I'm super excited for this session and looking forward to have some great Q&A after the end of the session.
Thank you, Randir. I appreciate it. So before we're going to go any further, as always, we have to start by reminding you that we might talk about things that's on the roadmap. Since we're a publicly traded company, there are rules about making forward-looking statements. So please we would like to remind you that please make your purchasing decision based on the product as it exists today. So the agenda that we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about the unique business value of ServiceNow Vault, and we're going to talk about our main topic, introduction to ServiceNow Vault, which is the Zero Trust Access, the brand new product that we're coming up as part of Vancouver release. And then Randir will go over the demo, and then we'll get into the customer engagement channels as well as the Q&A sessions. So ServiceNow Zero Trust Access, as I just mentioned earlier, that will be coming as part of Vancouver release that we will cover shortly. Before we go into the ServiceNow Zero Trust Access, I just want to go over this slide that covers what ServiceNow Vault really is, what are the premium features and products that it covers so far as well. So ServiceNow Vault, it is our marquee security enhancement suite, intended to provide additional layer of security and privacy capability for Now platform, and it consists of 5 key security elements so far. Number 1, platform encryption. Prove to an auditor that you're following industry best practices around encryption of sensitive data. And the data privacy, show the right data to only the right people by finding, classifying, and redacting private information in production and sub-prod environment. And the Zero Trust Access, which is the new product that we're going to go over today, granular contextual policies to enforce least privilege access, and a secrets management, use item discovery in very sensitive environment with provable assurance that ServiceNow employees have zero access to the stored credentials. And code signing, ensure that the code running on your mid server has not been tampered with. And the log expert service, automate the collection of real-time and forensic quality logs so you can detect and respond to abuse and misuse faster. This comprehensive security solution has been packaged to make it easy for organization to order and consume the solution. So this is all what we cover as part of ServiceNow Vault bundle. For next, I'll hand it over to Randir to go over our main topic, which is ServiceNow Zero Trust Access with granular level. Randir, back to you.
Thank you so much, Furqat. That was awesome. Hello, everyone. So zero trust is a term that has been prevalent in our security industry for quite some time now. And it follows a very basic principle that is never trust, always verify, right? And under the zero trust umbrella, we cover a lot of things that includes network security, continuous monitoring, identity governance, application security, and physical security as well. The key tenet that we are focusing as part of the Zero Trust Access product is that the Zero Trust Access principle of providing least privilege access. So the idea is that before we provide access to a particular user in a session, we need to validate their identity. And then we also need to evaluate the trust level of the session. Now, what Zero Trust says is that if your trust level is not high, you should not get all your high privilege roles, right? So why we are doing it? What are the typical use cases? So many of our customers, they have enabled IP restrictions on their instances, right? So the idea is that if the user who is accessing the ServiceNow instance is on the corporate network, they would be able to access the instance. And if not, they don't get to see the instance, right? However, with all the changes that is happening in this world, with remote workspaces, remote workforces, sprawl of bring your own devices, that model is not working well for the customers, and there is a immediate need of changing that. So what is happening is that customers are looking to come out of that restrictive IP network boundary. Now, with this, users get a lot of flexibility that they can access the instance from anywhere. However, this also brings in risk. The administrators are worried that high privileged users, they can now access the instance from anywhere using their personal devices. They can be on any network, and this brings in a lot of uncertainty, right? There could be a possibility that the device is infected. There could be the possibility that network is not fully secure, right? There could be a possibility that the device has some compromised malwares, right? So one of the requests that we were getting is that can ServiceNow do something about the privileged users, right? That when they are establishing the session, can we identify the trust level of that session, and then based on the basis of this, we do provide some capability to the admin that they can decide whether the user should continue to get the high privilege roles or their privileges should be reduced as per the trust level, right? So keeping that in mind, we have built this zero trust access solution. And one of the core capability of this feature is that you get a policy framework. In that policy framework, you can decide what level of privileges user will get based on your conditions of network, your conditions related to device, locations, etc. Right? So this is a major change. So today, when you access the ServiceNow instance, based on the roles that are assigned to your user and based on the group membership that you have, you get the same level of access, irrespective of whether you are within the office premises or you are outside at home accessing the instance from your personal device. So with this feature, now there is a option for the admin to create the granular access level. First of all, with adaptive authentication, they can enforce various security controls to ensure that the right identity is accessing the instance. And then with this feature, you can also decide that as an admin, I don't want to give high privilege roles when, let's say, user is not on the trusted network. So it definitely improves security posture, and it protects you again against the threat that are typically done for the privileged user personas. In some cases, this is also a need from the compliance perspective. So if I take a very common use case, right? It is like, let's say, you have support agent users who have ITIL role. So with that ITIL role, they can access a lot of things in the ServiceNow instance, right? But that ITIL user is also an employee, right? So the idea is that when the ITIL user is in office, right, the trust level of the session is high. They get to work as a support agent. They get all their regular privileges. But when the same user is in home, probably on a vacation or in a home, and trying to access the instance on their personal network, not connected to the VPN, at that time, they just get reduced employee roles. So they can maybe work on their own tickets, provide updates on their own created tickets, but they cannot see the data of other users. So this is a new innovation that we are delivering as part of the Vancouver release. Next slide, please. Okay, so how it works. So zero trust access under the hood uses adaptive authentication policy. So if you are not familiar, adaptive authentication is an existing product within the ServiceNow platform security group. What it does is that based on certain parameters like network, location, the login method, the identity provider attributes, it provides you the facility to enforce various security controls. So in the left side, you are seeing the options that are available in the adaptive authentication policy. And on the right side, you have outcomes. So what you can do with this policy is either you can allow the full access, or you can enforce MFA before providing the access to the instance. The next thing that you can do is when the access is available, you can also decide that whether it's a regular access or a reduced access. And in case, let's say you are not at all comfortable with the risk level of the session, you can very well deny the access as well. So basically you have this granular control that based on your policy, you decide what a user can do on the platform and what identity verification steps they have to complete. So without further ado, I'll go through the demo and I will show you this in action. And the use case that I'm taking today is a very simple use case. The first one is that I have a user, her name is Olivia. She is an ITIL user and she's an IT support agent. And I'm going to configure as a policy to ensure that when Olivia is on the office premises on the customer network, she will be able to access the ServiceNow instance with her full privileges. But when Olivia is accessing the instance from home without being on the trusted network, she only gets the base employee role and doesn't get the ITIL role. So this is the use case I'm going to cover and show you live in the demo. So Furqat, if I may share my screen.
Sure, take over.
So please let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Sure. So this is a demo instance. It's on Vancouver release. And in this instance, I am logged in as Olivia. So you can see that as Olivia is having ITIL role, she has access to the service operations workspace. There are incidents assigned to her. And then if she wants, she can work on these incidents, provide updates or close the incident, right? So currently, zero trust access has not been enabled on this instance. So Olivia, whenever she accesses this instance after providing her credentials, she will always be able to access the service operations workspace. During the demo, we will create a policy, a zero trust access policy, and enable it in the instance. And then we will see that when Olivia is not on the trusted network, she's not going to have access to the service operations workspace. So I'll log out from this instance and I will log in as a security admin. So I have another persona, George. George is a security admin of the Acme Corp, and I'll log in as George. So the first thing that I have to do after logging in is that I have to elevate my roles to security admin. Because zero trust access capability is only available for the security admins. I have already installed all the required plugins. So after installing the plugin and logging in as a security admin, I would simply elevate my privileges to security admin. So after elevating my privileges to security admin, I'll follow a series of steps. So let's elevate the privileges. So once I elevate the privilege, you will start seeing this red outline that shows that right now it's an elevated session. After elevating my session, my use case is that when Olivia is not on the trusted network, I need to remove the ITIL role from her session. Okay, so let's first define the trusted network. So for that, you need to simply go to adaptive authentication. The adaptive authentication plugin gets installed by default when you install the zero trust access. And under adaptive authentication, you need to click on the IP filter criteria. So in this, you can create one or more IP filter criteria. And I have already created one. So let me open the trusted network for the Acme Corp. In this IP criteria, I have defined an start IP and the end IP. So anyone who is logging in from this IP range would be considered as a trusted network login. Okay. After defining the trusted network, the next step is I need to create an adaptive authentication policy. So adaptive authentication policy takes two things. One is I need to add the inputs that I want to use while crafting my condition. And the second is using those inputs, I can create one or more conditions. And when the condition value is to true, I will associate this adaptive authentication policy to a certain outcome. Okay. So let's go to adaptive authentication policy. Again, I can go to adaptive authentication, click on all policies, and under which you can see that I have 18 policies today. So for this demo purpose, I have created one policy already, which is remove ITIL role outside the trusted network. So, so first thing that I will do is after creating a policy, I will associate policy inputs. How do we do that? You can click on this edit button, and then all the things that you have already configured in this instance, all the filter criteria would be available here, and then you can shuttle them and associate those inputs to the policy. As I have already added the trusted network, I'm just going to click on cancel. Once I have added the filter criteria, and the next thing that I will do is creating a policy condition. So again, I have already created one, and the condition is very, very simple, which simply says that when the condition will evaluate to true if the user is not on the trusted network. Okay, so currently this is simply a policy. There is no outcome associated with the policy. So this is all existing configuration. There's nothing new about it. Okay, now I will come to the main focus area, that is how do I remove the privileges when a user is not on the trusted network, right? So for that, I will go to zero trust. If you type in zero trust, you will get session access role configuration. And then I have one policy that is already created, right? So let me open the form. So this is a very simple form. In this form, after providing name and description of the policy, you need to select the policy that we just created. Okay. So after selecting the policy, you need to define the outcome of this policy. So there are two actions that are available in the zero trust access. First one is remove roles. What it does is that if any condition associated with this policy, so conditions are listed here, if you can have one or more conditions, and if any of the condition evaluates to true, the role that you specify in the role list field would be removed from the session. Okay, so this is about the remove roles capability. The next capability is the limit to roles. So this is another interesting thing. So let's say you have large number of records, not large number of roles that are assigned to users, and you do not want to remove individual roles. But what you want to do is you want to limit the access to only a certain role. Then you can use the limit to role functionality. Now, what will happen when the condition evaluates true is that all the privileges except the one that is specified in the role list, that those will be removed. Users will get only the privilege that has been given in the role list. What is group list? So group list is nothing but, let's say if you have large number of roles, and then you don't want to select individual roles, and you already have a grouping available, you can select the group here. Okay, we will not remove the group membership. We will just use the group to capture the list of roles that are part of that group. Okay, now an important note here is that not only we remove the role that is selected here, we also remove all the child roles that are associated with this. So you can click here to see what are the different roles that are part of ITIL. So you can see that there are 37 roles, and those all 37 roles will be removed from the session if user is outside the trusted network. Okay, important thing to note, the role would be removed or the role will be limited only if the user originally had this role, right? So let's say there is a use case wherein you don't have the ITIL role at all. Let's say you are an external user persona, right? So there won't be any impact on those user logins. So only if the role is already assigned to a user either through the group membership or through the direct role assignment, then only those roles will be removed. Next thing is admin can create one or more policies, and then all those policies will be evaluated after the user is logging in. After we verify the identity, whether it's a single sign-on login or whether it's a local login or LDAP authentication, after the user's identity has been established, we will run all the zero trust access policies that are active in the instance. And then on the basis of that, we will come up with a list of roles that should be assigned to a user. And again, one crucial aspect is that we don't remove the roles permanently from the sys user has role table or the group membership table. It is all driven through the session. What it means is that in this particular session, user will have reduced role. All the authorization decisions that are going to be made when user navigates to, let's say, one application to another application, one portal to another portal, will be made through these session roles. And if, let's say, the policy has resulted in reduced role, user will see a different level of access when they navigate. Awesome. So what I will do next is, after, as I have already created this policy, I will enable the zero trust feature by updating this property. So I'll enable the session access property. And we will now see the end user experience for Olivia when she is not on the trusted network. So when I define the IP criteria, I have kept my current IP outside the trusted network. So now if Olivia logs in using the same network, she is going to ideally see reduced privileges. So let's see this in action. So I log out from my current security admin session, and then I will log in again as Olivia. Okay, so now after verifying the identity of Olivia, zero trust access policies are running and evaluating what level of access should be provided to Olivia in this session. Because I'm on an untrusted network, some of my privileges would be removed. Now we understand that the user experience would be different. So what we have done is that we have also ensured that the end user gets some indication. So you can see that there is a info message on top. It says that the admin has defined some security policies which are resulting in privilege reduction. If, let's say, they want to know more about it, they can copy this correlation ID and reach out to the admin. So this message is displayed at the time of login. This message is also displayed within the user profile. So let's say if you want to see why you don't, if you are not able to access certain things, you can go to a profile section, copy the correlation ID, and reach to the security admin. Awesome. Now let's try one more thing. We will try to access service operations workspace. So this is the URL for the service operations workspace. You can see that because ITIL role has been removed from this session for Olivia, she is no more able to access the service operations workspace. Okay. So you can see that this is a very simple configuration, and using this configuration without modifying a single line of code, you can define a different level of privileges. I'll show you some advanced capabilities. So this was a very simple use case. So let me again log in as George and show you some other complex policies. So another enhancement that we have added as part of Zero Trust takes an option to define policies based on the location. So in our previous example, we have seen that you can define a trusted network, and then on the basis of it, you can create policies to reduce access. You can do on the basis of geolocation of the user as well. So what you have to do is you have to go to adaptive authentication, click on location filter criteria, and then you can select a group of countries for which you want to create policies. You can have one or more countries, and then this location criteria can be used in existing ServiceNow adaptive authentication features as well as zero trust access policy. So let's say you have a simple use case where you don't want to allow users to access the instance at all from these countries, then you can go to ServiceNow pre-authentication policy, use this filter criteria, and then you can say that any user accessing the instance from these countries, they should be denied. Okay, so this is the location filter criteria. It's again very straightforward, nothing very complex about it. The second thing that I wanted to show you that we covered as part of the PPT as well is you can also use identity provider attributes. So what is it? So let's say you want to create a policy on the basis of device status. Okay. So typically, your identity provider, whether it's Okta or Azure, they would definitely have a capability to know whether the devices are trusted or not, whether it's a managed device or not. And what we can do is that when you are configuring the SAML identity provider on the Okta side, what you can do is you can send that information as part of SAML attributes. Okay. On our side, what we can do is that we can read those SAML attributes and then allow the admin to configure policies on those attributes. So let me quickly show how to do it. So for that, you need to go to single sign-on and your existing identity providers. So I have already configured Okta for the demo purposes, but it will work for any SAML identity provider. Okay, so we have added this new tab within the identity provider configuration. So basically this tab shows you the attributes that the IDP is sharing at the time of login. So you can see we are getting email, username, and trusted device. I am interested in creating in a policy based on the device, whether it's managed or not, whether it's trusted or not, right? So what I need to simply do is I need to say I want to use this particular attribute in my adaptive authentication policy. What it will do now is that it will create a filter criteria that can now be added to policies. Okay, so let's see again in an action. I have created a demo policy. Sorry, I have to elevate my role. So after elevating my role, I'll try to access the session access role configuration. And you can see that I have another policy, which is for untrusted devices. So again, the configuration looks exactly the same. What I did is that now I associated another adaptive authentication policy to this configuration. So you can see that I have added two inputs. So this input has been created because I said that I want to use that particular SAML attribute in my policies. How I did it? I clicked on edit and all the attributes would be listed here. Okay. So you can see that I have already trusted device status criteria here. Now, what is the policy condition here? Again, very simple. It says that when user is logging in using the Okta IDP, and if Okta SAML attribute is saying that the device status is not trusted, then this policy condition will evaluate to true. And when this policy condition evaluates to true, I want title role to get removed. So again, let's see this in action. So for this, I will log in using single sign-on, and then we'll see that the roles are getting removed. And what I will also ensure is that I will deactivate this policy for the demo purpose. So I'm deactivating the policy that was based on the trusted network. And right now I only have one policy which is active, and that is on the basis of device. Okay. So let me log out again. And then this time I will log in with SSO. So Olivia will get redirected to identity provider because I have configured single sign-on for her. After coming to this screen, Olivia will provide her credentials. Now, what will happen here is that the identity provider will evaluate whether the device is trusted or not, and the same would be sent back to the as part of the SAML response. The ZTA framework will read that, and then based on the value, it will decide whether the role should be removed or it should be kept. So in this case, again, because this device is not marked as trusted in the identity provider system, you can see that my privileges have been removed. So we have covered three things. One is how you can create a simple policies based on the network conditions like IP condition. Second, we learned about the location filter criteria that can be used with existing adaptive authentication policies and as well as zero trust access policies. And third thing is how can we use the identity provider attributes to reduce the roles. Now, this is a very interesting capability that it's not limited to device. You can, if let's say the identity provider also has capability about the risk score based on various dynamic parameters. They can also send that as part of the SAML response attributes. And again, based on risk score, you can create another policy which says, let's say risk score is high, remove the privileged roles or limit the roles to very basic employee roles. So all those possibilities are there. And based on the type of support that SAML IDP is providing, we can configure the policies. So this is pretty much for the demo. I'll go back to our slides to see if we have any questions.
Thanks,
So
Randir. There's one question from the show regarding to the policy. He asked, like, can the policy be applied by assignment groups?
Yes, you can do that. You can select. You may have seen it already on the configuration form. You can select the group, and then what we will do is we will identify all the roles that are part of that group, and then all those roles will be removed if the condition is evaluating to true.
Oh, I see. Cool. Thank you. Please feel free to ask your questions if you have any more. I will go over the next slide here. Just a quick recap on what Randir just mentioned on the demo. He did walk through all the filter for zero trust access based on the geolocation, the network, device, as well as the identity provider attributes as well. So I will go over the next slide here. So if you're not subscribed to our Platform Privacy and Security Academy session, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. We had a few, roughly around like 7 to 8 different Academy sessions around all different topics within the Vault bundle. That starts from overall what ServiceNow Vault really is, and then we had the platform encryption and some other components as well. So feel free to watch those on YouTube as well. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to just scan this QR code and you'll be directed to that page as well. And what's available for us, this is both internal and external. So we have social media platform, we have YouTube channel on LinkedIn, as well as Instagram podcast as well. So simply you can just scan this QR code or just type ServiceNow on that channel as well. And we have a documentation side where you can see all the new enhancement and the features that is coming as part of Vancouver release, as well as previous releases too. And most importantly, we have a community site, which is Platform Privacy and Security community site, generically to ServiceNow community site as well. So what you can do is just you can read all the different documentations and podcasts, as well as some of the articles that is recently published regarding to all the different use cases and product and features as well. So with that, I would like to recap for the questions. If you have any more questions regarding to ServiceNow Zero Trust Access, that'll be released as part of Vancouver release in September, and which will be part of ServiceNow Vault bundle. And please, again, make your purchasing decision based on the product that it exists today. So we still have some time for Vancouver release. So it's not released yet, but Randir just went over some of the highlights through this demo as well. So I'm just going to stay 2 more minutes to see if there's any questions or not. Otherwise, we will wrap up. Randir, anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, so one of the important thing that I want to add is that the zero trust session access policies, those are applicable to web sessions. And if let's say you have parallelly running 2 sessions, one is with reduced trust level and one with the normal trust level, you would see different level of access in both of these 2 sessions. So that's the merit of this feature, that it's totally dynamic in nature and all the privileges are within the session. So high risk session would have low privileges, low risk session and high trust level session would have your regular privileges. It never elevates any role. It always keep your normal access or reduced access based on the conditions that are created in the policies. Another thing is the message is configurable. If you want to show some different message, you can change it. All these session access records are kept for 30 days for logging, audit and logging purposes. So you can also verify that which policy was applicable, what role have been removed from a particular user session.
Cool. I don't see any questions coming right now, but if you have any more questions, feel free to ask through our platform privacy and security community side by posting your questions. We'd be happy to answer your questions as well. Once again, thank you so much, Randir, for joining in and speaking through all the new enhancement around zero trust access, which is coming as part of Vancouver release. And I thank you all for joining this session as well. Till next time, stay tuned. Bye-bye.